live enough. What's going on, everybody? Bam. There we go. And we're on my Twitter. What a start. Thursday, March 7th. And this one's not hard for me to count. It's a two-gamer. I haven't had one of these in a while. And I'm glad. The next run-up of slates, it's going to be a doozy. We are coming down the home stretch, and we are coming down it aggressively. Here are the number of games we have each day moving forward over the next 2 weeks. 9, 6, 9, 6, 7, 6, 6, 8, 8, 8, 9, 6, 9, 6, 7, 8, 8. That is going to be a grind, and I am super looking forward to it. What do you think?
Yeah, I see of it as less as a grind because I don't have any 10, 11, 12 game.
I see what you're going.
But really, I mean, here's the way I see it. And been writing and doing articles for forever. Sometimes a 3-game slate or a 4-game slate is actually harder to analyze or to write than a 7 or an 8, because with a 7 or 8, you aren't desperate to find decent plays. You aren't desperate to find decent options, digging through the dumpster and just pulling out the least rotten piece of food you find in there.
Yeah, you don't have to pitch playing Tony Snell or something.
Exactly. So I love the 6 to 9 games, man. And now we've got 2-3 straight weeks of 6 to 9 games. I absolutely love it.
I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, this is the best time for basketball. By the way, today's National Cereal Day, okay?
Oh, here we go.
And as you know, I eat cereal daily, but I eat it at night, okay? Late at night. One may call it a midnight snack, Josh. Okay. Frosted Flakes, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Generally speaking, I'll switch off between the two. So I'm perusing the Twitterverse today, and I come across a tweet that says, "We dare you to tell us what's worse than soggy cereal." Now, first of all, in my head, I'm saying, if you let your cereal get soggy, you're doing it wrong to begin with, right?
Very, very true.
Okay, so we're on the same. Eat it quick. Well, a contraption has been invented where you pour your cereal about 4 bites worth. I retweeted this, by the way, so you can check it out. A contraption has been created where you pour cereal in one side, about 3 to 4 bites worth of cereal. Okay. When I pour cereal, it's overflowing out of the bowl. And when I carry it up the steps to my office, I have to make sure that it doesn't spill. All right. This is about 3, 4, 5 bites being generous with a teaspoon, where you can filter it into the other compartment of the bowl where the milk has been poured so it doesn't get soggy. Can you imagine going through all of that trouble for 5 bites of cereal just so it doesn't get soggy?
No, but they probably made $500,000 on that Kickstarter or something stupid.
I bet you're right. What an insult to anyone who truly enjoys all of the gifts that cereal has to offer. I see this and all I can think is, well, this world is coming to an end, and it's coming to an end quick.
I like the idea if I could have the entire bowl of cereal and then slowly add it and take my time on it, but not if it has to be portion controlled.
When I eat cereal, though, sometimes I'm double scooping, sometimes triple. This is not some dainty process where I'm slowly calculating each bite of cereal. No,
you're not putting shaved truffles on top of it and stuff.
Right. It's really absurd, and as you can see, I have a serious problem with it. It's $15 too, by the way, for a bowl, for a plastic bowl that all it has. The only thing that makes this difference from a regular bowl is that it has a sectioner in the middle of it to section off the milk. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Whoever invented that has way too much free time on their hands or way too much money.
And disrespects the cereal.
I don't know. I like cereal. I don't like when it gets soggy. So
yeah, they disrespect the cereal game.
We talked about cereal a couple nights ago, and I mentioned to you, Frosted Flakes is the only cereal that I've ever eaten with milk, and that is probably super weird.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, I've always been a dry cereal guy, and that is, I don't like it. I'm not happy about it, but
Now, do you pour it in a bowl with a spoon?
Frosted Flakes or any other cereal?
No, like cereal that you eat without milk. Do you
Yeah.
follow the same process?
Yeah, like if, you know,
No, you don't.
I
Wait,
don't.
you don't just eat it out of the box? You're telling me you pour it with a spoon and you eat it as normal cereal without a spoon?
Big old bowl of like dry kicks,
Oh
like a
my god.
fucking bowl of dog kibble.
Oh my god, that's horrible. You're serious?
Yeah, I could not be more serious. Frosted
Oh
Flakes,
my
chocolate
god.
Frosted Flakes, the only things that have ever touched milk in a cereal bowl
You
for
know
me.
what? You deserve one of these contraptions that they're selling. You deserve one.
Here's the weird part of it. I don't know why that's the case. Like I don't have reasoning behind it. Do you drink the milk?
Yeah, I drink
See,
the
like
milk.
I don't even do
My
that for
god.
Frosted Flakes.
What is this, amateur hour, Josh? Of course I drink the milk.
Yeah.
I would never let the milk go to waste. I mean, look, there's no the most important thing if you eat cereal at night, you have to immediately brush your teeth afterwards. Just pro tip, right? You go
So
to
much
bed,
sugar.
you don't brush your teeth after eating cereal, you're gonna run into some serious problems. But yes, absolutely I drink the milk. It's delicious.
Okay. Yeah, never have, not once. Not once.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. Blame my parents.
I should.
I might text them.
I should.
Tell them apparently I'm a weirdo.
I
And
mean,
you know what? I agree with it. Maybe I'll just go buy some really random cereal and
not drinking the milk is that, somewhat mainstream. Pouring cereal into a bowl and getting a spoon and eating it dry
yeah,
is
like
an entirely
dry
different
Lucky
story.
Charms, dry Kicks, dry Cinnamon Toast Crunch, dry
It
everything.
makes no sense at all.
And I've never eaten a bowl of Frosted Flakes dry. Only milk.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's something happened in your childhood.
I guess. I can't think of like why that's the case or what would have happened that makes that happen. But that is
It's really
exactly
quite
what it was.
remarkable.
Yeah. I don't know. Weirdness. Well, what's up, everybody? NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. That's funny. So you should sign up with us. Now's the perfect time. We've got a great stretch of NBA content coming up. We've got baseball on the precipice here. So if you're going to be signing up, now feels like a really good time. And NBA Strategy is the promo code that can get you there. Enter it and join us. Dry cereal with a spoon. That's madness. Psychopath shit.
Who said that?
Cantor33 in YouTube chat.
Yep. Well, he or she is right. Randall Younger Jr. says, over under 2 hours for a 2-game slate for Laffy and Josh. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your efforts.
That should be the name of our show. 2 hours, 2 games.
Yeah. 2 hours too much.
I was trying to think of... never mind. I'll talk about it later. Want to just bang this one out quick? Because the quicker we get started, the quicker we can get ourselves onto another tangent that isn't leading off with cereal for 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's hurry on through it.
Yeah. Hurry. That's what'll happen. Ooh, hold on. CC Play World in YouTube chat. I thought my brother was the only weirdo that didn't eat cereal with milk, and I've made fun of him and even told strangers of his craziness. Now there are 2.
Good. You should announce that shit from the rooftops. Okay. No one should eat dry cereal with a spoon. If you want to open the box up, I'm not going to get back into this. If you want to open the box up and dig your dirty hands into it, your personal box of cereal, while you sit on the couch and watch The Bachelor, fine. But don't pour it into a bowl.
Why do I gotta watch The Bachelor?
Sorry?
Why do I gotta watch The Bachelor?
I don't know. It seems like that's what someone that eats cereal out of a box would do. Although I watch The Bachelor and I don't.
I don't watch The Bachelor.
Oh, I do. No shame whatsoever. This season has been spectacular.
I've watched probably 1 episode of that show in my life. Now, if they bring back Joe Millionaire, now I'm in.
I never saw that.
I think I watched it at the time. I don't know. That was like 2003 or something. So that was when reality TV was at its peak.
The one thing though is like These women, many of them are. I mean, put it this way.
Uh-oh.
No. Put it the entertainment factor based on the dynamic is through the roof. But these are put it in the aesthetics department, God spent extra time on these ladies. So it is definitely an enjoyable watch. It's super entertaining. And dude, I'm waiting to get lit up in YouTube chat. Bring the heat, man. Until you tried it. Now, granted, I watch this with my girl. I don't sit down with a box of cereal and watch it on my own. But I I have no shame because it's thoroughly enjoyable. And it is, you know what it is, Josh? There's something about watching things go terribly wrong that appeals to me, right?
Sure.
Like,
that's why I play DFS every night.
You know, YouTube has like the compilation videos, like fail videos and stuff.
Yeah, YouTube's not the only place that has them, but go on.
Well, okay, but what other place has them that matters?
It's not important. Keep going.
I don't know where were you going with that. Now you're gonna have to follow that up.
Other video streaming services that aren't YouTube.
Okay.
Maybe adult entertainment. We don't need that at 9:35 a.m., you know? It's my bad. I took it the wrong way. Go ahead. Go on.
Okay, the fail part. Okay. Oh, you're just talking compilations.
Yes.
Well, yes, of course. Never really enjoyed them though.
Neither did I. I like to get into it. It's not important.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's move on. I was going to just follow that up, but we don't want a chain reaction there. That could get real bad real quick.
Yeah. The Bucks Pacers. 115.75 implied total for the Bucks. 104.75 for the Pacers. The Bucks are 11-point favorites here, and the Pacers are good.
This is what happens on a 2-game slate.
Yeah.
Jake.
We shouldn't have put this one together for us.
No way. Oh, man. Josh watches porn while eating dry cereal. All right. For real, I'm done. I promise I'm done for now. Yeah, Bucks, Pacers. You're right. 10.5-point favorites. I'm honestly not buying that, Josh. I think now the Pacers have a very tough schedule down the stretch, but give the Pacers credit for how they've played with Oladipo out. They're still third in the Eastern Conference, you know, hanging on to that ahead of the Sixers, ahead of the Celtics. By the way, did you know the Pistons were 6th in the East?
I knew they were playing well. I did not know they were 6th.
Yeah, 6th in the East.
Well,
if the season ended today, the Pistons, Nets, and Heat would all be in the playoffs. Pretty crazy.
Craziness.
But yeah, 10.5 points to me does seem it seems a lot, even with Sabonis out, right? Like that
was my first thought, but like then I look at the starting lineups and it's like, okay, every one of the Milwaukee's guys are probably better than Indiana's guys.
I'm not denying that, but I do believe in the team unit.
Yes.
And I don't, you know, whatever Nate McMillan has done, this team functions very well as a unit, right? Like there's cohesion there. And if there wasn't, they wouldn't, you know, be third in the East. Because from a talent standpoint, like Thad Young, good role player. Miles Turner, good player, very good shot blocker, poor rebounder, and, you know, modest to average pedestrian score at best for his position. Yeah. Darren Collison, backup point guard on most teams.
Yep.
Okay. And Bogdanovich, yeah, he's a fine wing player, but he's a spot up guy. You know, he's just another guy that when he gets opportunities, he sinks them. Some games he has good guns, sometimes he doesn't. Corey Joseph, Tyreek Evans, like this team it's not loaded whatsoever, but they continue to win games and stay competitive. So I'm not worried about a double-digit spread here. These are two teams, and this is a game specifically that on another slate, I don't think I'd have much of this at all. At all.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally with you. I feel like the Bucks are the Pacers with Yanis.
That's an interesting thought.
Because if you looked at Milwaukee without Giannis on this team right now, like you just took him away, you'd be like, Bledsoe, solid point guard. Chris Middleton, good wing player. Because I think like all of them would look different as they play as well.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody was talking like, it would be really weird to think about it like that. I mean, like slightly better version of all of that. You clearly, those guys are, you prefer Bledsoe to Collison, you prefer Middleton to Bogdanovich, you prefer Brogdon to Corey Joseph or Wes Matthews, whoever you want to add in there. But like that's Indiana kind of is Milwaukee as a step down. They're missing Oladipo. Not that Oladipo is Yanis, but he's like their guy. He's their Yanis.
No, I hear you. Yeah, and having no Sabonis is a killer too.
Yeah, certainly doesn't help.
I mean, I would think that Giannis plays. So he played 34 minutes last game. I had him at 32.
Same.
Because I figured that Budenholzer was going to continue to limit him to some extent. He didn't, but doesn't really matter because he fouled out and was just decent in that game anyway. By the way, they got swept in the 2-game season series by the Phoenix Suns this year, which is pretty incredible.
Obviously,
you didn't see that one coming. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know what to do with Giannis here. Let me ask you this. So, of the high-priced guys on this slate, right? Not just this game. You have Yanis, you have Westbrook, you have Paul George, who's dropped to 9,700 on DraftKings. He returned last game, struggled to shoot, salvaged a tiny bit at the end. Could have been a lot worse. Then it falls off a cliff to Lillard, falls off another cliff to Yusuf Nurkic, Bledsoe, and Middleton.
Yes.
So is it Giannis for you, or is it Westbrook?
On DraftKings?
Yeah, and I'm not saying you can't have both. Obviously, if you're MMEing on this slate, you're going to have both, at least some of both. But let's say you're playing one single lineup, whatever, throwing a dart. Who do you put in, Giannis or Westbrook?
Probably neither.
Neither, huh?
My first crunch, I have 8% Giannis and 5% Russ.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing because
lots of Paul George, lots of Dame.
From a value standpoint, you don't have much at all.
No.
You can get into the Al-Farouq Aminus and
Pat Connaughton.
And Pat Connaughton if you'd like. Yeah, if you like torture. Yeah. But there's not a lot here. And I think that's going to lead us to go a little bit cheaper. Yeah, I agree with you. So what about this Milwaukee team as a whole? What about outside of Giannis? Middleton, Bledsoe, Lopez is another one who's been playing, 30 plus minutes a game. Where are you at on the rest of these guys?
Yeah, and just to point one other thing out, I will have a lot more Giannis on FanDuel than I will on DK because you don't have I think there are 3 small forwards today that are relevant on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, that's power forward. That is a dead zone today. So I don't have any problem getting to Giannis on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I greatly prefer Middleton to Bledsoe. On FanDuel, I probably prefer Bledsoe to Middleton. Brogdon is not a guy that's popping up a lot for me. It looks like I'm going to end up under the field, but I have his points per minute really low in comparison to where he's been, so it's something that I do want to dig into a little bit further after this show. Lopez, Mirotic, Connaughton, I'll rotate through, but they are not volume guys for me. That's probably where I stand. I will have the most exposure in this game on DraftKings to Chris Middleton.
Okay. Man, I'm going to have a lot of OKC Portland, and obviously I'm going to have to get exposure to this game. There's no 2 ways around it, but I'm not heavy on any of these guys, man. I'm really not.
I'm massively under on Giannis, massively under on Brogdon, Lopez, Mirotic, Connaughton. I'm a bit over on Middleton and essentially neutral on Bledsoe. Otherwise, Milwaukee is not a spot.
What about Lopez?
I'd 6% to start. That's fine. They don't have to play him big minutes any longer. Powell played in the last game. I assume that he gets like a rotation a night. And now between Yanis at the 5, between Mirotic potentially at the 5, I'm just like spitballing guys that can theoretically be there. Ilyasova. I have Brook Lopez in for 29 minutes. I could see him getting up higher than that. I just don't see the need any longer.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with you. Until the thing is, like, until I see him not get those, I have him at 30 still.
Sure.
I don't have a problem at 28, 29, but until I see it, I don't really know how I can make any significant changes there. Mirotic is coming off a terrible shooting game against Phoenix, 3 of 14. At one point, he was 1 for 12. He's had a couple decent games, and he's struggled mightily in a few of them since coming to Milwaukee. He hasn't hurt them, but so far Mirotic has not been of much help because from a defensive standpoint, that's not why you're acquiring Nikola Mirotic. So is he okay at 4,800? Yeah, I suppose Mirotic is fine, but I still don't even have him as a top value or point per dollar value on this 2-game slate.
No, he's like the 6th guy for me on the Bucks.
On the Bucks, yeah, not on the slate, on the Bucks, right? So it's
on either site too.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, man. Bledsoe is one guy that I do like simply because he still has a pretty nice ceiling. He's still very affordable, and what more can you ask for in this slate? That's kind of what you're looking for is, can Bledsoe go for 50? Yes. With Yanis healthy? Yes, he can. Has he done it recently? Yeah, a couple times. Is he affordable? Yep. And can he give you like 32 minutes? Yeah, he can. So yeah, Bledsoe to me is perfectly reasonable. So is Middleton, but don't confuse that with me saying I love either of these guys, because I don't. On another slate, even a 5-gamer, I would imagine I'd pretty much have 0 Milwaukee.
Yeah, like you see the line on this game and it's Bucks by 11 and you're like, oh, this should be a good Bucks spot. But it's terrible, actually. It's a pace down spot. The Pacers defense is fantastic from a fantasy perspective. Like all of the additional signs outside of just the fact that the Bucks are favored point in the wrong direction.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So, yeah. Middleton will be the guy that I get the most of on DraftKings. On FanDuel, it's a little flatter. It goes Bledsoe, Middleton, Yanis, and then a big gap to that next crew of Milwaukee guys. But I will be cycling through them. Middleton is just pretty clearly ahead for me on DK. 6,300 feels a little too cheap.
Yeah, I think so. He's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
Let's talk Pacers. I got a lot here.
Although I prefer McCallum, but we'll get there.
What's really funny is so do I. I just happen to have those are just 2 of the highest guys that I have. So, but I have more. I have more sense. CJ right now.
That makes sense.
Pace up spot for Indiana, which is helpful. They have the worst implied total on the slate by a mile, 9.5 points behind Oklahoma City. Got Miles Turner at 7,700 on FanDuel and 6,200 on DraftKings. I'll be significantly over the field on Miles Turner at this rate. He's at 12% on FanDuel, 26% on DK. I'm very comfortable having more Miles Turner here.
Yeah, so looking at the position, you have Yusuf Nurkic, $6,700. Miles Turner, 62 on DraftKings. Steven Adams, 5,900 on DraftKings. There are some egregiously underpriced players here, and Nurkic is one of them. This is the problem. I keep coming back to my love for the Blazers today, and Turner's definitely going to have a role in my life tonight, no question.
Yeah.
But I will say again, as a 1v1, I do like Nurkic better at a comparable cost. So Just trying to throw that out there so we know where I'm at, where we're at. I like Miles Turner for sure, especially with Sabonis out. He played 36 minutes last game, which was really encouraging. Does that happen again? I don't know. It's hard to say. He had 7 blocks on the night, 10 points. Had it not been for all those blocks, it would have been a very disappointing night for Miles Turner, but that's what makes him so good, is his ability to rack up, 5 blocks a night or more. I like him. I definitely like him. But really, when you're projecting minutes, you can't, at least I don't think, you can't comfortably project Miles Turner for like a lot more minutes than Nurkic. Maybe 29 and 31 or 30 and 32 or something, but you can't really get much crazier than that. 36 is clearly not the norm for Turner, even with Sabonis out.
If you knew Turner was playing 36 minutes, he's pretty clearly the best center on the board.
Yeah, of course. Well, if I knew Nurkic was playing 36 minutes, he would clearly be the best center on the board.
Yeah. I have him in for I have Turner in for 31. Here's the key reason that I like Turner more than Nurkic. Well, I mean, I like Nurkic more than Turner if I'm playing against myself. 52% ownership on DK for Nurkic, 26 on Turner.
I
don't think that Nurkic outscores Turner 2-1, like in frequency.
I think it'll be closer than that's. Maybe not.
Yeah,
maybe not.
It
seems like a really wide gap.
If that pinches closer to lock, then it becomes a discussion. But if I had to lock in the next 5 minutes, I just flip flop those numbers and end up with 50% Turner and 25% Nurkic.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's it for me on Turner Nurkic. Like, we're gonna talk about Nurkic. We're gonna talk about him being in my lineup. So I don't want it to sound like that, but yeah, just given the ownership, it seems easier to flip-flop those guys. Thad Young is probably like my favorite pacer. That never stops happening, though.
Who'd you say, Thad Young?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like Bogdanovich, and really for the same reason that we talked about a lot this season. If there's one thing Milwaukee does is they allow a ton of 3-point attempts. The most in the league this season.
He's 7,700 on FanDuel. I choked on my coffee. Bogdanovich is 7,700 on FanDuel.
My God. They have been really, really quick on the trigger when it comes to pricing guys up recently. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's even more dramatic than I've seen in previous seasons. Like Dwight Powell had a couple of good games and he's up almost to 7K. Some of these guys, just their prices are shooting through the roof upon having 1 or 2 decent games with relatively high ownership. I can't imagine Bogdanovich has been high owned, but he has had some solid games. Looking at it now, I didn't even know he had been playing as well as he was.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. I almost wish that he'd been playing just kind of modest basketball, 28, 30 fantasy points, because this is a spot that I like. I mean, the most 3-point attempts in the league. They're also allowing the 12th highest 3-point percentage. So it's not like they've stymied guys from beyond the arc. It has been an area where Milwaukee has allowed a lot of efficiency and a lot of volume this year. So, yeah, I think Bogdanovich as somebody that, from a usage standpoint, he's been good enough for me. Like, since Oladipo went out, I think his usage is around 24%. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. 6K on FanDuel or DraftKings. On this slate specifically, I have absolutely I have no problems with it at all. Is he a stud? No, he's not a stud. We all know that. But he doesn't need to be lights out. He doesn't need 50 fantasy points to get the job done on a slate like this, Josh. And if you look at his numbers since Oladipo went out, what was it? The 23rd of January was Oladipo's last game. I'm running it now. Watch. I'm sure it won't come up. You would think at 9:50 in the morning it would run quicker.
Yeah, you would. Dude, Bogdanovich is more expensive than Middleton and Bledsoe on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's insane. By the way, I have it. 27% usage. 27% usage since Oladipo's been out.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
One fantasy point per minute. Not to mention Bogdanovich is playing pretty significant minutes every single night.
What's he shooting in that stretch that you have here?
What's he shooting?
Yeah. What's his
He
true
has
shooting?
well, so 52% field goal percentage and 60% EFG. Whew.
And that's with Oladipo off.
No, it's just since January 24th. So the last game Oladipo played was on the 23rd. So I'm just taking since Oladipo hasn't played up until now.
And the true shooting was?
True shooting 63%.
Yeah. He's at 62 for the season.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely a good shooter.
Oh yeah, I have no disagreements there. I mean, he shot 40% from 3 last year. He's shooting 43% from 3 this year on 5 a game.
I think it's a pretty appealing spot for him.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem with it whatsoever at 6K. At 7,700, I'm probably going to lean a different direction.
No way. No way.
But no, I have him in the same sort of boat as Collison and Wes Matthews. I'll have him in a third of my stuff and I'll rotate through them. Thad Young is the one that's popping up like double that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean,
I also think that I have Boyan way too low in rate, so it's something that I want to take a look
at. What do you mean?
I have him way beyond what he's been, or way below where he's been over the last 30 days.
And per minute?
Yeah. So dramatically that like it looks wrong.
Okay. Yeah, he's been, last month and a half, he's at 1 fantasy point per minute, which is pretty good. I'm with you on Thad. I mean, if this game stays close, he's going to play 35 minutes. Pace up spot. He's a hustle type guy that thrives in these situations. So no, I like Thad Young too. No problem with that. 5,700 on DraftKings is more than reasonable. 66 on FanDuel. He's the highest price power forward, which is pretty funny. Super shallow position. I mean, as much as you'd love to say, yeah, I don't want to play him. There's just no way. He's 58% projected ownership, and that might even be low given the other options. Like seriously, there's Jeremy Grant, whose price is up because George was out. There's Al-Farouq Aminu, and then it's just nothingness, a barren wasteland.
Yeah, it's rough. I know we'll get a lot of, we're going to talk about a lot of people, basically everybody in 2 games just because of the way this slate works. But for people that play, one lineup or something along those lines, just from my perspective on DraftKings, Chris Middleton and Thad Young would be quote unquote core plays for me. Those are guys that I have significantly more than everybody else in this game. So if I'm trying to focus this down, Middleton and Thad Young on DraftKings. Thad also on FanDuel. It would probably be Bledsoe from the Bucks for me if I wanted to just try to focus my path for those sorts of people that are listening.
Talking about everybody is different than recommending everybody.
Yeah, like they are my focused recommendations for this game.
Right. Well, you said we're going to mention everyone. Talking about all of the players on a 2-game slate is a lot different than recommending everyone, and I say that because we had somebody, one of our viewers, won a very solid amount of money yesterday. It was shout out to Chris _Chris on Twitter. Oh no, who was it? Chris finished 5th. He had 354. It wasn't a huge win, but he was pretty stoked about it. I thought we had another. Either way, I think he 354 on DraftKings was a solid score. But that was not the one I'm thinking of. But either way, he said thanks for the help, and then somebody responds with LOL, thanks for the help. You guys had 7 hours of podcast and touched on each player in top 10 at each position. Then go into why it's an okay play. Jesus, you narrow nothing down. I disagree. I think
that's 5 different people talking about the slate, by the way.
Right, but I mean, I say it all the time. It's important to not recommend everybody. And like, look, are we going to give you more than 8 players that fill a lineup? Of course we are, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're still making the decisions. You're still building your lineups, right? You're still running the crunches. You're still setting the parameters and all of that. And we're talking about, each game and the players. But in terms of narrowing it down, our job isn't to build your lineup. It's to break each game down and provide analysis so you have the tools to build a lineup.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
No, it 100% does. Man, I still can't get Boyan to go up. He must be shooting more. How many minutes?
He has 27% usage.
I want to look at shot attempts. So let me bump him to 36 minutes and see where he's at from a shot attempts perspective this season.
Well, you got to factor in free throws as well.
I have them all in front of me.
Okay, because he's getting to the line a good amount.
All right, so if I put him in for 36 minutes, it would be 10.5 twos, 7 threes, and 4.5 free throws. This season, he is at 9 twos, so I'm high on twos. It would be 5.4 threes, so I'm high on threes, and free throws 4, so I'm high there. Okay, I'm not bumping this up any further then. Okay, that was a good little thought exercise for me. So I project out everybody's 2-point attempts, 3-point attempts, free throw attempts. I have rates to figure out their scoring. Should be relatively obvious. But just comparing to his per 36 rates for the season, I'm giving him more attempts this year. So I'm definitely lower on his shooting rates, if we just want to talk that out, because he has grown dramatically. And I haven't caught up to that yet from a regression standpoint. He shot 37% from 3 in 2016-17. He shot 40 last year. He's at 43 this year. Those are like massive, massive leaps.
Big improvements.
Yeah, so like you're not like I'm not gonna. What do I have him projected for? Because I'm certainly not projecting him for 43% from 3 like he's at this year. I assume it's probably around 40. Yeah, 41. So like those 2 percentage points right there would help get him closer to his actual rates. But now I'm officially happy with my Boyan projection. I don't want to pay $7,700 for him on FanDuel, but
no, of course not.
I certainly want to pay $6.
Of course not. Yeah, 6 is perfectly fine. Yeah. Collison at 5,800. Again, on this slate, all you're doing is just weighing their value to the other players at the position. You're doing that on other slates, of course, but on this one, it's even more serious because, if one of them is going to be super chalky and a guy that's priced right around him for some odd reason is going to be a third of third owned, if one's going to be 10 and another one's going to be 40 or 50%, which we've seen, that's where you get the little bit of edge that you can on a slate like this. And what I mean by that is just, okay, so look at DraftKings, for example, and take CJ McCallum and then, Eric Bledsoe. They're basically the same price. Let's say McCallum at point guard, right now projecting at around 60% ownership. Bledsoe around 25 or 26%. So significantly less.
Yeah.
You ask yourself, is Eric Bledsoe nightly, is he going to finish worse than McCallum? That like to justify being that less owned than McCallum? The answer is a resounding no, Josh. Like if you ran, you have all the fancy tools that could run this right away. If you ran 100 simulations here, McCallum's not finishing better than Bledsoe. I mean, it might be 50-50, and Bledsoe probably better. So
I would have I think it's pretty close to what the ownership split is actually.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like I have CJ projected for 3 more fantasy points than Bledsoe.
Yeah, no. I'm not talking about projection. I'm talking about on a 2-game slate.
Yeah.
You haven't projected for more. Of course, everybody does. That's why he's projected at 60% ownership. But CJ McCallum is not a particularly high ceiling, or at least not a consistently high ceiling player. I guess we see this one differently because obviously CJ McCallum is one of the top plays on this slate. There's no question about that. But if Bledsoe were to finish with better numbers than him today, and then tomorrow and the next day, to me it wouldn't be a surprise. They're not different enough players for me to see him at 60% and 25%. It's simply a matchup thing, and CJ McCollum being a few $100s cheaper. Obviously, he's going to project for more points. Yeah, no question. I haven't projected for more as well. But I don't think he's a significantly better player than Bledsoe at all. And for that reason, if Bledsoe is going to be at 26% and McCollum at 60, I don't mind flipping that around. Like, dude, McCollum could easily finish with just like 35 fantasy points. It's it's I almost want to say it's probable. Like I won't go that far, but I don't know. He's CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
How many times he let us down this season? I'm not running numbers on this. I'm just saying from what we've seen from CJ McCollum and Eric Bledsoe, and they average like identical fantasy points on the season, which is funny as well. The only thing is that Bledsoe's matchup, I guess, isn't as friendly.
It is not as friendly. It's a tough defensive spot.
It is. But 60%, even on this slate, like 60% is insane.
I have more, so it's hard for me to disagree too much. I'm trying to find...
No. Not insane like it shouldn't be 60%. Just insanely high in that if you are right on the pivot, it's making a massive difference. Like if you're right on getting to a Bledsoe over McCollum tonight, just as an example, that is going to go really, really far.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
I'm not saying I don't have McCollum projected higher. Of course I do. And that's why he's 60% projected ownership.
Right.
That's all I was getting at in the roundabout way.
Gotcha. So do you like anything else from Indiana? Wes Matthews, Corey Joseph, Kyle O'Quinn?
Wes Matthews is fine. You know, he's going to get, look, if you get 35, 34 minutes from him, I think you can do worse than that. You know, he's not a terrible 3-point shooter. He's attempting a lot of threes since coming to Indiana. So, no, he's all right. You know, that's I don't have much to say about him outside of he's cheap. He's going to play 34, 35 minutes, and he might jack up 8 or 9 3-point attempts, which is more than you can say for most guys at that price point.
Oh, yeah, we're on the same page there. I'll probably use Tyreek Evans as a punt on FanDuel quite a bit, but I won't be happy about it.
I wouldn't be happy about that either.
It's just flat minimum, so only so many options today.
You can always drop your 8 fantasy points.
Very true. You want to talk Portland and OKC?
Let's do it.
Portland Trailblazers hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. 117.75 implied total for the Blazers. 114.25 for the Thunder. They're two really nice games. And I didn't realize how good Portland's defense has been lately, but here we are. It's been fantastic. And this is a massive, massive pace-up spot for the Blazers. Best implied total on the slate. And that's bearing out in DraftKings ownership. Their pricing is ludicrous. Damian Lillard, Yusuf Nurkic, CJ McCollum, monster plays for me. CJ, my favorite play on the entire slate. And he's jockey, so that's not a huge surprise. What do you like from Portland?
A lot. That's the good thing, and that's the bad thing. Like McCollum, yes, McCollum is a top play on this slate, maybe the top play on this slate. There's no arguing that at all, right? You're going to get a lot of minutes from him. He's facing a team that's leading the league in pace since the start of January. I mean, there's everything. Everything's there. But that's what going back to what I was saying is, like, whether I'm projecting him higher, when I see him at 60% ownership, and I wouldn't even be surprised on this slate if it's higher than that. To me, okay, let me ask you this.
Hit me.
Let me ask you this. McCollum finishing with 35 fantasy points tonight.
Mm-hmm.
would that surprise you?
No, not at all.
Okay. What do you have him projected at?
36.4.
Okay. That's funny. I have him at 36.8.
Great
So
minds.
so there's that. But then I I guess the only thing that it's just it's CJ McCollum. Like, and I'm just being like I don't want to get in depth with it. It's like CJ
I hear you.
McCollum so very frequently. How many times this season did we say he's underpriced, and he shows you why he's priced that way? You know, like you just take his last 10 games, for example. He's finished with fewer than 30 fantasy points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So it's just very high ownership. I think if you're gonna get heavy on McCollum, you got to go above 60%, like you're talking about.
Yeah, I have 78 right now. So
Right.
just a skosh. Do you like Nurkic more than anybody else on Portland?
Well, he's also. I mean, McCollum, Lillard, and Nurkic on DraftKings, and Aminu, the top 4 highest projected owned players are all on Portland.
Yes, they are.
So that's the only thing that sucks. And look, it's a 2-game slate. You're not really going to get away from it. I totally understand that. So I won't even go too much in depth. But on this slate, if you hit on one single player that is lower owned, like it's a big difference. So you can load up on the guys that are chalk,
Sure.
and then take a stand on 1 or 2 spots. And maybe one of these Portland guys is the way to do it. Nurkic, I like Nurkic against Oakland. I think he gets 29, 30 minutes here, 6,700. I mean, you're talking about a guy on the season whose per minute production, is one of the best in the league, like in the entire league. He's averaging on DraftKings 1.38 DraftKings points per minute. Right? Those are astronomical numbers. Massive. For a guy that's 6,700. If he plays 30 minutes, yeah, and Lillard, I don't understand how Lillard is so cheap. They're just all egregiously priced today.
Yeah. I'm going McCollum, Lillard, Nurkic on DK, and particularly Nurkic last just because of the Turner ownership. It's all relative to me right now. And unfortunately, Al-Farouq Aminu is going to be hella popular.
Right. So you are taking the same approach with Nurkic, or talking about the same approach with Nurkic, Turner, as I would talk about with McCollum and, say, Bledsoe. I mean, same thing. I'm assuming you just do you have Miles Turner projected for similar fantasy points as Nurkic? Because I have him significantly below Nurkic.
I have it. Let me take a look at it, actually. And by the way, I ran the numbers for Bledsoe versus McCollum. I have McCollum outscoring Bledsoe 58% of the time.
Okay, so I said 50-50 earlier. Not too far off from that.
No, not at all. Let me grab Turner.
If it was outscoring him, how much by how much and how often.
I can give you that number too if you want it.
Because I'm assuming
you can pick a number and I can give it to you.
Assuming it's a very narrow margin.
Now, if we take a look at Nurkic and Turner, that's right. Good. I have Nurkic outscoring Turner 66% of the time.
Which makes sense, especially at these price points, yeah.
Yeah. But right now we have the ownership at Nurkic 52, Turner 26.
On FanDuel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry, that's DraftKings. Yeah, that's DraftKings.
Yeah, DraftKings. So I would want to pinch that a little bit. But, it's close, yeah. So 2/3 of the time, Nurkic outscores Turner.
Right. And McCollum's 58%.
Yep.
So give me you could do either one, really. I'm saying that there are ways to to be different in one or two spots. And I don't think you need to go crazy with that either. Like, I don't think you need to fade all of Portland because you think, they're all going to fail. They're not at this price. No way. I mean, there's just no way. One of them will, though.
Yeah.
McCallum, Aminu, Lillard, and Nurkic aren't all going to have a big game tonight. Of course, unless it's just a wild game, I guess anything's possible. But even at that price, one of them probably, I won't say will disappoint, but one of them will definitely finish where somebody priced around him would have been a better play. That's the better way to phrase it.
That's a good way to phrase it. Yeah. Wow, that Nurkic Turner one is way closer than I would have expected.
What do you mean?
Like, I thought the ownership looked way more aggressive than like what I actually think it is. Like, I thought the 52 to 26 was like egregiously high, but in all actuality, it's not.
Gotcha.
So it's always interesting to see.
What do you have him? What do you have him projected at though? Just raw points, fantasy points.
Who?
Nurkic and Turner.
39.8 for Nurkic and 900 decimals. 39.8 for Nurkic, 34.1 for Turner.
Okay, so I'm at 39.3 for Nurkic, and for Turner at 33.7. So both of them solid. Nurkic I just have higher. And look, I like Lillard at this price. To me is an incredible play.
Yeah, agreed.
Incredible, man. These are the type of games where he can thrive.
He's really easy to fit into.
So easy.
I marked off my 100. So I crunched out 250 lineups on DraftKings. I marked off my top 100. Dame Lillard is in 82%, more than any other player on the entire slate.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, he's really hard to get away from at that price tag on a 2-game slate because he has the ability to, like, in theory, break the slate, and he's at a price point where it's not even outlandish if he just plays like a normal Dame Lillard game. Like,
right.
At some point in time, raw points went out on a 3-gamer, and he has the ability to do both today at a dramatically discounted price.
Yeah, no doubt about it. By the way, I'm just seeing this now. Apparently, Pat Connaughton played 21 minutes last game and had 0 fantasy points. Is
that real?
Yeah, 21 minutes, 0 fantasy points. He recorded 3 personal fouls. That was his contribution.
So did he have any fantasy points and lose them via turnovers? Do you know?
No.
He just bageled.
0 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 0 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. He shot 0 for 1 from the field.
That is that's not good. That's super
crazy,
bad,
right?
Man.
Crazy.
That is all sorts of atrocious.
Crazy.
How does that happen?
I don't know. By the way, Dante in our premium Slack chat said Westbrook owns Dame. They got into it last time they played. It might own him offensively, if that's what you're saying, but Dame has been perfect. I mean, Dame's, and I don't like doing this, but just if we're going to bring it up, he's averaging 51 fantasy points in 3 games against him this season. So it's not like Dame, he's averaging around almost 30 real points. It's not like Dame hasn't been able to enact some payback there. I mean, if Dame gives you 51 fantasy points at 8,100, you're certainly not too upset about that.
No.
And just the pace of play in this game, everything is screaming Dame is too cheap.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. So I looked at McCallum and Bledsoe as well as a comparison, similar to Nurkic and Turner. We said I have McCallum outscoring Bledsoe 58% of the time, and in the ownership, it's 60% McCallum to 25% Bledsoe. So I really, really like the idea of offloading some of that McCallum to Bledsoe.
See, sometimes I don't need those spreadsheets, Jess. Sometimes it's just up in the old dome.
Sometimes it is.
No, it makes sense though. Like, really, all it is, and like your numbers confirm it, which is nice. But all it is saying like, okay, McCallum finishes in that low 30 range so often.
Yeah.
So does Bledsoe, but both of them once in a while will go off. How less likely is Bledsoe to do it today? And 60 to 28 seems, or 26 seems kind of crazy, but I don't know. It's like you're not going to play McCallum. It's just I'm not totally against having 28% or 26% and maybe switching that around. Like I still very much think Bledsoe could easily outproduce him today. And worst case scenario, well, it's not worst case, but also a pretty likely scenario would be that they both finished right in the exact same neighborhood.
Yeah, that's they are. That's why they're projected where they are. It's tight. It's real tight.
Where are you going elsewhere for Portland before we close it out with OKC? Like Aminu.
God. I don't even know if I want to talk about this.
Aminu's 3,900 on DraftKings.
Wow, we're at an hour. We are fantastic at this.
Well, we talked about a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, serial compilation videos. You're everywhere.
Dude, honestly, here's something I don't understand. This is what I do not understand.
Okay. I know what you're going to say.
Say it, and I'll tell you if you're right.
You don't understand why Enes Kanter is 39% owned?
Oh, God, I didn't even see that.
Oh, okay. Well, then this is going to be underwhelming, I guess.
No. You're going to agree with me.
Okay.
And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. I don't understand how at a $300 price difference, Mo Harkless is 26% projected ownership, or 28, and Aminu is 49%. Now, Mo Harkless has played spectacularly lately. He has been outstanding. He is receiving very consistent minutes outside of that Charlotte game. If you were to get 30 minutes from Harkless at 4,200, or 28, 30 minutes from Aminu, who actually has reached 30 minutes once over his last 6 games, that to me is strange. I have zero problem with Mo Harkless here. Now, you can very much make the argument that Aminu's defense will be necessary against Paul George. And I do prefer playing Aminu in games where he is deployed and heavily, and Terry Stotts uses him heavily against, dominant wings or fours. But that actually didn't happen against Kawhi Leonard, and it didn't happen against Kevin Durant. There were a bunch of games recently where it hasn't happened, although he did play 33 minutes against OKC. So I just think Harkless being so closely priced to Aminu, and you know what? Call it box score chasing or whatever you want. Harkless is playing pretty good basketball right now. He's 6K on FanDuel. He's still 4,200 on DraftKings. So Harkless at half the ownership of Aminu to me seems pretty odd.
I have Aminu outscoring Mo Harkless 62% of the time.
Yeah, but I don't really buy that.
It's close to 2-1 in ownership. So no, what I'm saying is that, like, you're right. They should be closer. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. No, I mean, and even if we didn't, that's no big deal. I guess what I'm saying is, like, Harkless, I don't know what his minutes are going to be, right?
Very true. Yeah, what do you have him in for?
I'll tell you right now. I have him at 29.
See, I have Harkless at 27. I have Aminu at 29.
Okay. I have Aminu at 28, and I have Harkless at 29. Now, could be totally wrong, right? It's very possible that doesn't turn out right. Aminu has played 30-plus minutes, I think, in every game against OKC this season. Makes sense. You have Paul George on the court. I like Aminu today, no question. I just think that they're so similar in terms of fantasy production. Like, they're both it's so possible that they just suck. I would have thought that they'd be a lot closer in ownership just because neither of them are consistent at all.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the... I mean, even if I just gave Mo Harkless If I gave them the same amount of minutes, it's probably close to a coin flip. Let's do it just to see what it comes out as in my numbers. Let's take 1 minute from Aminu and give it to Mo Harkless, and we'll see what happens. If I do that, I would... Whoops. Pasted that in the wrong spot. If I were to equalize their minutes for tonight, I would have Aminu outscoring Mo Harkless 56% of the time. So basically, we're getting real close to coin flip territory, and it's all based on minutes. So what you're pointing out is the key. Why is Al-Farouq Aminu getting owned almost twice as much as Mo Harkless?
Yeah, seems kind of strange.
It does indeed. Does indeed.
I think it's a perception thing. I'm not saying our ownership is factoring in, psychological stuff, but just in terms of Harkless is a guy that all season long has had zero fantasy appeal, is, rarely ever rostered.
That's the craziest part of it all. This is flying in the face of like even regularized trends. Mo Harkless over the last 30 days is at 0.99 FanDuel points per minute.
I was just gonna say that.
Al-Farouq Aminu is at 0.81.
I know. It's crazy. The only thing I can think of is that it's like, everyone's just waiting for that other shoe to drop on Mo Harkless.
Yeah, I don't expect Harkless to continue to be a point per minute guy because that's not
right.
him. But it's really surprising to me to see that Mo Harkless is that far behind Al-Farouq Aminu.
That's weird.
We need to talk about Cantor.
Yeah, please go ahead, because I didn't even catch that until you mentioned it.
And by the way, Al-Farouq Aminu, much better play on FanDuel than Harkless. He's only 4,900 there. Harkless is 6K. So
there, it's not. It's not even close, because they are so similar as in terms of expected production that you're always going to take the guy that's way cheaper.
Yeah,
that's why on DraftKings it was so surprising, because $300 is nothing.
Exactly.
All right, what are your thoughts on Cantor?
So clearly he should be played if you're mass entering tournaments. His way to bust up this slate is just simply Jusuf Nurkic gets in foul trouble. Not out of the realm of possibility. Not to mention, when Cantor plays, you expect him to play 18 to 20 minutes, something in that neighborhood. He's a 1.25 guy, somewhere in that neighborhood. So he's not even going to submarine you if he's on the floor. I can't imagine wanting to play him in 40% of my stuff.
No.
But I get it. You're just, when you're using his Cantor, you're making a very specific build.
Do our ownership projections factor in the revenge factor?
Of course. That's probably like the first variable.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Look, here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. As a guy that has been unbelievably productive this season, fantasy-wise, not defensively, of course. 1.25 fantasy points per minute from Enes Kanter.
Yeah.
I'll say this much. Now, here's the interesting thing. Could you play him with Nurkic? If Enes Kanter plays 18 minutes, right? At his routine per minute production, just on the season, you're talking around 22 and 23 fantasy points. Enes Kanter somehow gets to like 20, 22 minutes just on his averages. It's a lot higher. It's also a pace-up spot. If you got 28 minutes from Nurkic at 6,700 and 20 minutes from Kanter, is it worth it? That's a question I think that deserves answering.
Your goal, if you play Nurkic and Kanter together, which is tough to advocate for, but the goal is to get 75 points between the two of them. I don't think that that's a situation that can't happen.
I know. It's it's kind.
So what is that? If I say that I need 75, I need them to collectively be 1.56 points per minute.
Like, yeah. So I'd say like if I'd say maybe 45 and 30, 40, 48, 27. That's not unfeasible at all.
No. Based on where I have like the value calculation set for today, it would be 44 for Nurkic and we'll say 31 Cantor.
Okay.
But that's not like we're quibbling here. They can certainly collectively be 1.56 fantasy point per minute guys today.
It's not crazy.
No.
The only thing is that we're not talking about Cantor being unowned, so it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah, I mean, if Nurkic is 52% and Cantor is 40.
Yeah, what's the point is the thing.
Yeah.
There isn't.
I mean, based on those numbers, I would guess that you get them pretty regularly.
Right, that's what I'm asking, and I would assume, the answer to that is yes.
0.52. Like, if you were just playing this slate out randomly, like you didn't make rules or try to adjust for that sort of stuff, just based on their ownership percentages, you would expect them to be in the same lineup like 20% of the time.
Right.
So if that's the case, yeah, I mean, I'd probably want less than that. now that we're looking at it, and it's not the way that I thought it was going to go when we first started looking at it. But
no, I agree.
If Cantor's 40%, I understand. Agree. He feels safe. He feels safe. Like, I've got him projected for 23.4 fantasy points in 19 minutes. Like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But you're not upset if that happens on this 2-gamer.
No, you're not. I'd be all right with it.
Okay. Do you have anybody else coming out of Portland?
No, it's a mix. It's a mix and match of obviously Lillard. We talked about McCallum and where I'm at on him. By the way, this is not saying I don't like McCallum. Yeah. Just simply that there are other guys.
Rank Portland for you on DK, and then I'll do the same, and then we'll do the same for FanDuel. That way we can give people a little bit of a path.
Not raw fantasy points. You're talking about preference, right?
Yes, preference.
And I'm gonna factor ownership in here. Okay. And basically positional scarcity. A guy's relative to their price. Excuse me.
There it is.
So
cereal burps.
No, man, that's from last night. Were you crazy? Lillard, Nurkic, McCallum, and here's the reason I'm gonna go the big three first, because of Aminu, Harkless, and Cantor. There really is not a true favorite there. Yes, you get more minutes from Aminu and from Harkless, but Cantor is a substantially better per minute guy. So to some extent, it balances out a little bit. But I would put, if I'm not factoring ownership in, I think Aminu, in terms of minutes in this specific matchup, is probably your best option. But Harkless on DraftKings being half the ownership definitely makes him more appealing.
Okay. I would go Lillard, McCallum, Aminu. No, Lillard, McCallum, Harkless, Aminu, Nurkic, Cantor.
The hatred for Nurkic.
It's not hate. It's not so much hatred.
The hatred.
He's got the easiest opportunity to let me down here.
You think?
In that the path to him just not playing enough minutes is the easiest path to take on the Blazers team. Like, quick foul trouble, they have an alternative plan. If he gets in a little bit of foul trouble and the minutes go 24-24 at center, like, that is not a crazy scenario to happen here. But by all accounts, Dame and CJ are playing 36 minutes tonight at least, if this game stays close. whereas Nurkic has the opportunity to let me down.
Fair enough.
Let's see what else we've got. Let's go to Oklahoma City, I guess.
Let's do it.
Russ, 12-2 on FanDuel, 11-1 on DK, 54 on Yahoo. This looks to be my biggest fade of the day. I don't really expect to have any Russ, and I won't be anywhere near the public. I got 1% on FanDuel and 5 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I do. Like I do understand this. And I think earlier in the before really putting much research into it, I was like, oh wow, Westbrook on a 2-gamer. But the more you really look into it, it is a spot where you can definitely fade him. Now, Westbrook 32% on a 2-gamer is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Given how ridiculously good he is. But I do understand it. If you were like I said, I know you said neither earlier today, but let's just hypothetically, if it was Westbrook or Yanis, who do you like more?
I'm almost positive it's Yanis, but let me take a look at it quick. Yeah, it will be Yanis for me.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have a huge issue with coming in underweight on Westbrook here. It does make sense. I mean, I never feel particularly comfortable about it. And this game is really appealing on a number of levels. Like I would love to, like I said, the Milwaukee game, I would not have any interest in a 10-game or 8-game slate. This game, I don't care about the slate size. I know I would have a lot,
Yeah.
I know I would have a lot. And I just crunched quick 200 lineups and got a lot of Paul George and let's see, 3% Russell Westbrook. That's without making any adjustments and setting no caps. There you have it. I mean,
right.
He's not showing up as a great play. Now, I did get more Yanis. I got a decent amount of Yanis here. My guess is because actually no. I was going to say because the position's so bad, but on DraftKings, you still have Harkless and Aminu at power forward. If necessary, you have Paul George at small forward and power forward. No, it's Westbrook is not showing up as a good of a play as I would have initially suspected.
Yeah, it's just for right now, value is very, very limited. And the guys that are in the second tier of pricing, the George, Lillard, Nurkic, Bledsoe, Middleton area are underpriced a little bit. Whereas I don't think that Russ and Yanis are. So naturally, it's just really easy to get like an extra like upper middle class guy.
Yep.
Than it is to just grab garbage and a stud.
I'm with you. There. Well, I'll see what it looks like when I'm building out lineups, with Westbrook and a decent amount of other, quality players. But the crazy thing, man, you're just going to get so much. You're going to get so much Portland here.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing it now. I'm just seeing what this looks like. I'm getting gobs and gobs of Portland, and getting away from it is virtually impossible, man. It's so tough unless you want to play Ilyasova and hope that he can play 18 minutes and give you 25 fantasy points. It's possible, but like you said, does Gasol play more? Does Gasol play 10 minutes and take 5 away from Mirotic or Ilyasova? It's possible, Ilyasova will get some minutes at the 5. I don't know. I can play Westbrook and make a decent lineup, but it's not a necessity at all.
Nope. Not for me. Not one bit. Paul George, on the other hand, 9,700 on DraftKings. Pretty hard to get away from that number.
Yeah, and that's right, exactly. So that's what changes kind of everything, right? I mean,
yeah.
Paul George, when healthy, has not been any worse than Russell Westbrook. Yes, I know Westbrook is averaging far more fantasy points per game on the season than George is, but I mean, if you ran it back to the start of January, I would imagine they're not that far apart. Paul George at 9,700, that's pretty outlandish. Now, I guess the question would be, if you were to do a 2v2 thing and say Paul George and this guy versus Westbrook and this guy, say your final two spots, is the extra, what is it? How much is Westbrook? 11-1. Is the additional $1,400 you're getting, is that getting you anywhere? And I look at it here. I don't know if it's a huge difference. It's the difference between like a Brook Lopez and a Brook Lopez and an Enes Kanter, or yeah. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to see if it's worth it. I guess it is.
Yeah.
But maybe not as much as I initially thought.
I'm shocked that Paul George's ownership is so close to Russ's.
You thought
48-32 here. I would have thought it was a much bigger gap just because of Paul George's price. If we didn't have Paul George come back in the most recent game, it would make a lot, I'd be weirded out by it. He played 38 minutes.
Yeah.
He's just back.
I know.
And he's going to play. And this game should stay close.
Right.
So,
no, you're right.
Before he got injured, they weren't separated by $1,400.
And they're separated by $1,400 again. He took 25 shots in his first game back.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Paul George, obviously a premier play today. No question.
Yeah. I would say he's probably my second favorite play overall. I mean, he's my favorite play in that he can win me the slate.
Correct.
And
many other people.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. This is a day where our ownership projections, I think, are a very important factor for people. So if you're ever on the fence about signing up, a 2-game slate like this,
agreed.
NBA Strategy is the promo code. Being able to have an idea of where everyone else will be will make it a lot easier to create a lineup that can be unique, to try to keep yourself away from chopping it with 600 people, because there's going to be some overlap for sure. But it allows you to build a roadmap of, okay, I think these guys are relatively comparable, but player X is at 45% ownership and player Y is at 10%. You can see that, and the extremes are so much more extreme on a 2-gamer that it allows you to build your map of, these are my pivots. This is what I can do to try to be different based on my current opinions. And if I think the two guys are close, today is the day to be able to leverage ownership more than ever. And we have it here, and the ownership projections are basically the most important piece of everything that I do. So I will be relying on them heavily today. And if you want to check them out, NBA Strategy, 50% off your first month.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's massive, 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 massive today.
Totally agree. For the rest of OKC, though, Jeremy Grant, he's okay. He's still going to get a lot of minutes, but reintroduce George into the lineup, and Jeremy Grant's just fighting for the scraps. I think we could agree on that. Sure, once in a while Grant's going to get some opportunities, but look with George out, 17 field goal attempts, 14, 11. He's going back to 8 or 9. You know what I mean?
You know what's really funny? He's going to be in more than 50% of lineups on FanDuel.
Yeah, but that makes sense because the position is such hot garbage.
There are 3 guys that you can play.
Right. And all 3 of them have the highest ownership on FanDuel projections right now.
Yeah.
It's silly.
Thad Young, Jeremy Grant, and Al-Farouq Aminu make up 174% of the ownership at power forward on FanDuel tonight.
Definitely a better day to play on DraftKings, just because you can actually get different in some spots.
Yeah. Makes for a decent spot to double punt.
Oh, I agree.
if it's
For sure.
available. I'd have to
Well,
look into it a little bit further.
So I just threw a lineup together. And by the way, I'll just close out my OKC take with Steven Adams is fine, but I likely still won't have a ton. I like that he had been playing fewer minutes. I really don't mind Adams here, but when you have Turner and Nurkic so similarly priced, it's a little bit more difficult. But okay, now a lot of Portland here, but this is with George and no Westbrook or no Yanis. Lillard, McCallum, Aminu. I see Ilyasova. I threw him in there. Like I said, maybe he plays 18, 20 minutes. He's 3,200. Nurkic, Bojan Bogdanovic, Paul George, and Chris Middleton. So from a balance standpoint, you can do a lot with Paul George as your highest priced player. A lot.
Yeah.
Now
I'm trying to.
yeah, now you're going to have to differentiate somewhere. Like I said, Ilyasova, is it crazy to think that Ilyasova, who is right now projected to have, I think, like the 7th lowest or 8-10, maybe just put it this way, no ownership. Or actually, where's he at? Ilyasova on DraftKings, 0.8% right now. See, to me, you might be thinking, what are you talking about, Laffy? Why would I? Well, here he is. Like he played 16 minutes last game, 27 fantasy points, then 20 and 11. That's trash. 24 and 20, 20 and 23. If he plays 18 minutes, 20 minutes, and gives you 23 at basically no ownership, minimum salary, and a lot of these other value plays flop, which is very possible. So there you have it. Would I play Ilyasova on a regular slate? Of course not. Of course not. No. Why would I ever do that? But it's not the wildest idea to say, okay, if he gets 18 minutes, can he give me 25? Yes, he absolutely can.
Yep.
And that would take you a very, very long way today. So looking at the slate like that kind of opens things up a little bit.
I was just looking at some of the metrics that I use to sort through my lineups. And my top lineup right now is basically a 1 in 585 lineup, which means that if I put it in a tournament with 20,000 entries, I would expect like 33 other people to have it.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it's another thing that you can do with ownership. Try to get yourself slightly more unique without giving up, too much of your floor, because there's going to be some overlap today. 1 in 585.
Wow.
Yeah, I can get it in a 500-person tournament, and it's not even outlandish that someone else has it.
Insane.
Yeah. Of my first 6 lineups, they're all 1 in 764 or less. So not even a 1 in 1,000 lineup. Got to get lucky to have be the only person that has it in a single entry. Crazy. It's craziness. What's the most ridiculous lineup I generated? 1 in 525,000. Let's see what that looks like. Malcolm Brogdon, Tyreek Evans, Mirotic, Giannis, Cantor, Westbrook, Layman, Nurkic. Probably not going to play that one, but there's your Cantor Nurkic lineup.
Yep.
That's Giannis, Russ. That's what happens if you want to run them both.
Yep.
Terrible lineup. That's why it's dead last. Oh man. Okay, so let's do the same thing here. Let's rank Oklahoma City on DK.
All right.
I think that we both agree that Paul George is a resounding number 1.
Paul George number 1. Westbrook number 2. Steven Adams number 3. Grant 4. Yeah, I'm not even ranking on FanDuel because Grant, obviously, you don't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
And I guess Schroeder 5. But Schroeder's priced to where he was with Paul George out for several games, so not really high on that. And I was thinking, as I was talking about Ilyasova, I was thinking, okay, could Markieff Morris? Yeah, and I'd just rather go to a guy like Ilyasova than Markieff Morris. Somebody like Ferguson, my God, this dude does nothing across 36 minutes. It's insane how little he does.
0.44 FanDuel points per minute over the last 30 days.
That's crazy.
I mean, I
Now-
don't feel like Jeremy Grant does a ton on the court, and Terence Ferguson does half of that.
That's so insane. That is so insane.
He makes Abdel Nader look useful.
I mean, dude, just on the season alone, he's a 0.48 fantasy point per minute player on the season.
Yeah, it's how much Terence Ferguson would you want if you knew that he played all 48 minutes?
10%.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's playing all 48 minutes, obviously
at 0.44, we would be projecting him then for 21 fantasy points.
Yep.
That's like a Russell Westbrook quarter.
That's just so crazy. That's so bad. He's so bad. Like defensively, he's fine, but this dude is worse than Andre Roberson from a fantasy standpoint. That's crazy.
He's like 5 times worse than that AD game from a couple nights ago where he went for 40 in 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's really incredible, isn't it?
Oh, man, it's fantastic. Yeah, hit that like button while you're here, by the way, guys. We got a tight core today on a 2-gamer. These are the real savages that show up for this one.
We love all of them.
We do. Absolutely. For me on DraftKings, Paul George is clear at the top. Russ is at the bottom for me unless we get some news that open up more cheap guys. He's just not a guy that I'm getting to. I have Adams, Schroeder, and Grant all smushed together. It's really hard for me to break them out, but if I were, I would go Schroeder, Adams, then Grant. Russ at the bottom.
Russ at the bottom is absurd.
Here we are.
On a 2-game slate, a guy with 80 fantasy point upside, you're going to put him at the bottom?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to pick Yanis before I pick him, so I don't think that he grades out well on Oklahoma City, and I don't think that he grades out as well as the other guy in his price range, so I'd be disingenuous if I recommended it in a different direction.
Fair enough. Hey, that's what people ask for.
Yeah.
And that's, I have, by the way, just so I have Russ above Giannis.
Okay.
The funny thing is, no, I don't. Hold on, let me see here. I actually don't think, I think I'm wrong on that. I don't. No, I don't.
Cool.
Why did I think I did? I guess
know.
I mixed somebody up.
Good story.
It's probably because in my head, I like Westbrook over Giannis because I like this game so much more.
Oh, Jay Goods got me in Slack. Ferguson eats his cereal dry.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. He's on this dry cereal comment kit.
I don't blame him.
Yeah,
I deserve every bit of that.
but I think I'm out of things to say, and I'm never out of things to say.
Yeah, I mean, we can clearly go on. It's just not going to be about this slate.
No. It's probably not going to do anyone any good either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I'm having a hard time being able to spend 11-1 on Russ. I'd rather just get one extra guy in that upper mid tier. Now, if we get news that, like, what would be a good example? Like, if we get news that Eric Bledsoe is sitting or Malcolm Brogdon, then clearly we're going to start looking at punt plays. Like, I mean, Connaughton's already getting ownership, but, like, it opens up somebody like Tony Snell or something stupid. Now, Tony Snell is terrible. He is like a slightly better version of Terence Ferguson. But I just mean, if we get one injury that opens up a 4K guy even more, that will dramatically change the way that I can get to Giannis or Russ. Right now, we do not have that.
Right. I agree.
This is what everybody wants. We can get a tweet that says, you guys recommend everybody. Here's me not doing that. There's the exact opposite.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought we did, but...
No, neither do I.
I've literally emphasized on shows that by giving you every player, we're doing you no service whatsoever. We're actually, hurting you.
Yeah. Like, you can disagree with me. I don't blame you for doing that. It sounds extreme. That's where I stand right now. There's no fluff. It's just, this is where it is. It's the exact opposite of recommending everybody. But we get it from both sides. That's the best. It's like sports writers, where no matter what they say about a team, their mentions just become like, "Oh, you just hate our team. You're a hater."
Right.
Like, no, it just is what it is.
No, I know. That's all it is.
Yeah. No, 90 minutes, 2-gamer. It's on brand.
God, that's a lot of time.
Honestly, I felt like we were talking for 5 minutes.
I know.
I mean, our pre-show conversation feels like it happened yesterday.
2 hours almost.
Seriously, like, how long ago does it feel that we talked about Camelback?
Yeah, that's true.
If I would have said that, that was just like before the show on Monday.
Last
Tuesday,
Friday,
rather.
yeah. Unbelievable.
Well, hit that like button. Don't be afraid to drop a comment in about how awesome Laffy and I are. I have a sneaky suspicion you'll say that he's awesome and I'm not, but whatever works. NBA Strategy is the promo code, 50% off. I'm going to break some hearts on this one, guys, so be ready. Brace yourselves. No deeper dive tonight. I don't get the sense that we need 2 straight hours of this stuff from 6 until 8 o'clock. Remember,
coming from someone that just talked about it for 2 straight hours. But no, I obviously 100% agree. Yeah. And on a night like tonight, this information that you and I just talked about now, it's very unlikely that the shelf life is going to be shorter on this than it would on most sites.
Yeah, there would have to be some real, like, if Paul George gets ruled out or something like that.
Well, even so, honestly, it wouldn't be that crazy, right? You play Dennis Schroeder, and then Markieff Morris might actually become a decent play, but it wouldn't change a ton. Really, on a 2-game where you, like you said, you need a lot to happen for everything we just talked about not to be relevant by 7 or 8 o'clock.
Exactly. So there won't be a deeper dive tonight, live before lock from 7 to 8. We will still have the deep dive from whenever Adam gets out or wakes up and writes the 2-gamer before he goes on a sushi expedition. that's whatever. Yeah, that's where we're at for today. And then tomorrow, we are running into the weekend and a big time stretch of the finals, the home stretch of the NBA season. We're going to be going hard for the next 2+ weeks. They have given us a great gift of fantastic scheduling.
It is going to be great.
And before you know it, this is the awesemo.com MLB strategy show. Coming up quick. When's opening day? Do you know?
March 29th, I think.
3 weeks.
March 28th.
3 weeks. Get to fade your boy Bryce opening day.
So it's 27th, I'm assuming, which they'll probably have the Sunday night baseball.
And that's the worst.
Stupid. I don't even know if I've ever watched it. Seriously, like,
I mean, are they playing 2 games in Japan a week early or anything like they did a couple of years ago? I don't know how long ago that's been. That could have been last year for all I remember.
That's the game I'll have on in the background while I'm doing something else with the TV muted. It's opening day that you care about.
Yeah. Like real opening day. I want to have games on at like 12:30 p.m. Put the TV on and just sit here. Wow. And not watch anything until I get an alert that one of my guys is up. That's really, I mean, if you're MLB, you build that. You let people input their list of players, and it just constantly cycles. I know there are aftermarket ways to do that, but if they build that fantasy aspect in where it's just a constant stream of the only things that matter to you, sign me up. Alrighty. Let's get out of here. 90 minutes in. Let's move on. Best of luck, everybody. Love, you got anything else? I am rambling a bit.
Waiting on you.
Oh, I'm just tired. I'm tired. Alrighty. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning.